Tonight, we're tracking something truly dangerous. The Biden administration, in its final desperate moments, is quite literally trying to start World War III. Just days ago, they authorized Ukraine to use American long-range missiles against Russian territory, and Putin's response is stark warning about nuclear retaliation, but it gets worse. As Biden wanders aimlessly at the G20, unable to find his way to a group photo, his administration, well, we're finding out that there's undersea cables that had been cut, provoking North Korea, and seemingly doing everything possible to leave Trump with a world in flames. This is not just incompetence, folks. This looks like deliberate sabotage. And with global tensions at a breaking point, Chuck Norris has a message you need to hear. At 83, he's still ready for anything, just like we all need to be in this uncertain times. He recently revealed a shocking secret about staying combat ready and maintaining peak performance even as Biden pushes us towards global conflict. What's even more amazing, his wife started using the same method and feels a decade younger. Don't wait for the crisis to hit. Visit chuckdefense.com/next now to watch Chuck's urgent message. Like America itself, you need to be prepared for whatever comes next. Okay, so we are now learning that this is what it would look like. This is a simulation of a strike on Kiev with a 100 megaton nuclear bomb. The death toll would rise to about 2.5 million people. Our leaders are risking the lives of millions in Ukraine. Is it really going to be this way?
7.9.
Listen.
If the bomb was 100 megatons, it would have a wave of thermal radiation that would reach a radius of 64.2 kilometers. The air blast radius would reach up to 54.6 kilometers, followed by an electromagnetic wave of ionizing radiation that would reach up to 6.99 kilometers. The fireball would expand to a radius of 7.92 kilometers and would last for around 35.7 seconds. The total number of deaths by such a blast would amount to 2,412,050 people.
That is what is at stake here. But we have Joe Biden. This guy is completely lost.
It's no secret that I'm leaving office in January. I will leave my successor and my country in a strong foundation to build on if they choose to do so. It's true, some may seek to deny or delay the clean energy revolution that's underway in America. But nobody can reverse it. Nobody.
Yeah, he's going to leave a strong foundation. No, he's leaving a foundation of chaos. Here's Biden wandering around after missing the group photo at the G20 summit in Brazil. Yeah, totally lost. Totally lost. Doesn't even know where he's at. Biden, who just authorized Ukraine to use U.S.-supplied long-range missiles, takes no questions and retreats back into the Amazon rainforest. Look at this. No questions. Just wandering off into the rainforest. I mean, where is he going? Totally embarrassing. World leaders at the G20 took a group photo without Biden. Listen to the reaction from the reporters on the scene.
Where was he?
Where's Biden?
They're telling him to wait for Biden, guys. Oh my God. Do you see him, Joe? Far left. Left to the left of the palm tree. Oh my God. But they took it. Yep. It's right there. Joe, he's behind the palm tree right now.
I don't see it.
This is the chaos that Joe Biden is leaving behind. Total embarrassment on the world stage. Reporters frantically looking for him on camera. G20 leaders vacating the photo because they're not going to wait for Joe Biden. Look at this. I mean, it's chaos.
He's, Joe. Trudeau in the load. Don't move the gun. Sorry, thank you.
No problem.
I can't believe it.
Yeah.
Reporters in disbelief. I can't believe it. He missed the photo. They left without him. This is the end of the presidency. This is the legacy of Joe Biden, and you're witnessing it right there. Total embarrassment and humiliation on the world stage as he's escalating tensions around the world. What a joke this is. And we have this deep state financier, Alex Soros, openly celebrating the potential of U.S. long-range weapons being fired into Russia. They're not hiding it anymore, openly pushing for World War III. Alex Soros, this is great news. And he's quote tweeting the Wall Street Journal that says, breaking, President Biden has for the first time authorized Ukrainian forces to use Western-made long-range weapons to strike inside Russia. This is great news? Alex Soros says this is great news. This is horrible news. 6 hours ago, Moscow warns the United States over allowing Ukraine to hit Russian soil with long-range weapons, the Washington Times. Meanwhile, fascist Russia cuts critical internet cable between Finland and Germany. That's according to the Telegraph. Critical undersea internet cable severed amid fears of Russian sabotage. Really? Was it the Russians or somebody else? Jade Helm, Uncle Bozy 1 8 hours ago. 2 undersea internet cables in the Baltic Sea have been suddenly disrupted, according to local telecommunications companies, amid fresh warnings of possible Russian interference with global undersea infrastructure. A communication cable between Lithuania and Sweden was cut. On Sunday morning, 10 a.m. local time, a spokesperson from telecommunications company Telia Lithuania has confirmed. Critical internet infrastructure severed in the midst of all of this. Undersea cable suddenly broke between Sweden and Lithuania, Germany, and between Lithuania and Sweden. Communication cable laid by the bottom of the Baltic Sea been cut. Accident has reduced internet access by a third. And there's a map of the location where the thing was cut. But here we have, this is Tucker Carlson weighing in on World War III.
What do you make of that? And if you doubt how serious the opposition is to the public, not just to Trump, but to the majority of the country that voted for Trump, they're trying to leave him with World War III on the way out. You know, I can't imagine a more desperate or evil thing for Tony Blinken, who I think is desperate and evil, in my view, to do. Leave him with a war? A lame duck president trying to start a war with the world's largest nuclear power, Russia. What do you make of that?
I think it's disgusting and cynical and evil is what it is. That's what I think. A fumble and a snub. Liberal hive mind. World leaders at the G20 take their group photo without Biden and then they walk away. Where's Biden? Everyone freaking out. Putin saying we will use nuclear weapons if a mass enemy missile or UAV is launched towards Russia.
Nuclear state. In the updated version of the document, aggression against Russia by any non-nuclear state, but with the support of a nuclear state, is proposed to be considered as their joint attack on Russia. Russia will also consider the possibility of using nuclear weapons when receiving reliable information about a massive launch of means of aerospace attack and their crossing of our state border. This includes strategic and tactical aircraft, as well as cruise missiles and drones, hypersonic and other delivery vehicles. Russia reserves the right to use nuclear weapons in case of aggression, including if the enemy, using conventional weapons, poses a critical threat.
It is important to note.
So, Vladimir Putin certainly issuing his own warning about what is going to happen. And then we have this. Kim Jong-un told North Korea's military to get ready for war and blaming the United States. I quote tweeted this. I said, Trump going to show up across the DMZ again and be like, cut that shit off, Kim. Well, let's see. Let's get a little deeper here. He told North Korea's military to get ready for war, blaming the U.S. and South Korea for pushing tensions on the Korean Peninsula, the worst phase in history. Speaking at a meeting of military commanders in Pyongyang, Kim accused Washington and its allies of threatening North Korea with military confrontations. He urges forces to step up their readiness as the situation becomes more dangerous. So, this is all happening in real time. Oh, President Biden, though. This is what he posted a day ago. I'm proud to be the first sitting U.S. president to visit the Amazon rainforest. We must recommit to protecting our planet. What about nuclear winter, Joe? You're authorizing Ukrainian forces to use long-range U.S. weaponry into Russian territory. And you are more concerned about the Amazon rainforest than the rest of the planet? Our world's forests are one of the most powerful solutions we have to fight climate change. Yeah, whatever, Joe. Whatever. ALX says, Americans, it would be great if we could have peace instead of these endless wars. Biden brings us closer to World War III. Alex Soros says it's great news. Here we have Putin in September. If Ukraine uses U.S. long-range missiles to strike Russia, the U.S. is at war with Russia. Biden in November authorizes Ukraine to use long-range missiles to strike Russia. Biden has just 2 months left in office. This is an attempt to substitute concepts because we are not talking about authorizing or prohibiting the Kiev regime from striking territory. It already does with the help of drones and other means. But when we are talking about the use of Western-made long-range precision weapons, it is a completely different story. The fact is, I have already mentioned this, and any expert will confirm both in our country and in the West. The Ukrainian army is not able to strike within modern long-range precision systems of Western manufacture. It cannot do this. This is possible only with the use of intelligence from satellites. Oh boy. Which Ukraine does not have. This data is only from the satellites of the European Union or the United States. In general, from NATO satellites is the first thing. The second and very important, maybe the key one, is that only NATO servicemen can make flight assignments to these missile systems. He's basically saying it's NATO. Ukrainian servicemen cannot do this. He's basically saying that NATO is 100% behind this. So this is not about whether or not to allow the Ukrainian regime to strike Russia with these weapons. It's a question of deciding whether or not NATO countries are directly involved in military conflicts. If this decision is made, it will mean nothing but direct participation of NATO countries and the United States. European countries in the war in Ukraine, this is their direct participation of this, of course, changes the very essence, the very nature of the conflict. It will mean that NATO countries, the United States and European countries, are at war with Russia. And if this is the case, then bearing in mind the change in the very nature of the conflict, we will make appropriate decisions based on the threats that will be posed to us. Wow. So Putin clearly recognizes that any long-range attacks that could be initiated by Ukraine would then be within direct coordination of NATO. That's a very bad thing. Because, Ukraine is a small country and Russia is a big country. And Russia invaded the little country. Remember when Kamala said that? Sorry, I don't mean to make light of this. John Bolton, however, he's a man, he's never disagreed with any war, says he approves of Biden's decision.
Well, Well, it's the right decision. I'm just worried it's too little, too late. This should have happened 2 years ago, and it's...
Oh, we should have gone to war 2 years ago. We should have done this. We should have let them use long-range Western missiles and satellite data years ago.
Well, it's the right decision. I'm just worried it's too little, too late. This should have happened 2 years ago, and it's emblematic of the sad reality that although the United States wasn't able to deter the Russian invasion, for this 2.5 years, Russia has largely deterred the United States and NATO from providing adequate assistance to Ukraine on a strategic basis.
Man, these hawks, man, I cannot wait for them to disappear. Joe Biden, BlackRock, this is from Wall Street Apes, is trying to start World War III by authorizing Ukraine using U.S. long-range missiles into Russia. New Attorney General Matt Gaetz says what everyone else is too afraid to say: the Ukraine war is to launder money.
I think that the reason we are as involved in Ukraine as we are is because Afghanistan wound down. And if we still had Afghanistan to launder money through, there probably wouldn't be the need for this type of excessive involvement in Ukraine. But I think we can look at Afghanistan and we can look at what's going on here and say what a lot of these defense contractors are pushing toward is how to have an extended kind of low yield war. Like if there's a way to stretch this thing out, turn it into a 20, 30 year kind of thing where there's a whole lot of money moving around and unaccountable pots and a lot of weapons getting bought. And then, oh man, the stockpiles, well, we got to spend more money to reload those. I think that
calling it a whole money laundering operation. We've been saying that forever. Oh, but there's more. There's so much more. President Trump calling for peace. This is what we need, friends.
Today, we have never been closer to World War III than we are today under Joe Biden. A global conflict between nuclear-armed powers would mean death and destruction on a scale unmatched in human history. It would be nuclear Armageddon. Nothing is more important than avoiding that nightmare. We will avoid it, but we need new leadership. Every day this proxy battle in Ukraine continues, we risk global war. We must be absolutely clear that our objective is to immediately have a total cessation of hostilities. All shooting has to stop. This is the central issue. We need peace without delay. In addition, there must also be a complete commitment to dismantling the entire globalist neocon establishment that is perpetually dragging us into endless wars, pretending to fight for freedom and democracy abroad, while they turn us into a third world country and a third world dictatorship right here at home. The State Department, the defense bureaucracy, the intelligence services, and all of the rest need to be completely overhauled and reconstituted to fire the deep staters and put America first. We have to put America first. Finally, we have to finish the process we began under my administration of fundamentally reevaluating NATO's purpose and NATO's mission. Our foreign policy establishment keeps trying to pull the world into conflict with a nuclear-armed Russia based on the lie that Russia represents our greatest threat. But the greatest threat to Western civilization today is not Russia. It's probably, more than anything else, ourselves and some of the horrible USA-hating people that represent us. It's the abolition of our national borders. It's the failure to police our own cities. It's the destruction of the rule of law from within. It's the collapse of the nuclear family and fertility rates like nobody can believe is happening. It's the Marxists who would have us become a godless nation worshiping at the altar of race and gender and environment. And it's the globalist class that has made us totally dependent on China and other foreign countries that basically hate us. These globalists want to squander all of America's strength, blood, and treasure, chasing monsters and phantoms overseas while keeping us distracted from the havoc they're creating right here at home. These forces are doing more damage to America than Russia and China could ever have dreamed. Evicting the sick and corrupt establishment is the monumental task for the next president. And I am the only one who can do it. I'm the only one that can get the job done. I know exactly what has to be done. We have
Bring it on. Bring it on. It's happening, friends. But of course, Joe Biden signed an official proclamation to support the conservation of nature around the world because there's more we can and must do at home and abroad to protect our planet. But he's still funding countless wars. But Putin says he's ready to use nuclear weapons if a non-nuclear nation attacks Russia with the assistance of a nuclear nation. This is what's happening, folks. This is where we're at. So we've got this too. We've got Alan West. He's weighing in too.
Made such a huge. Well, it is very perplexing because what you started out with saying a lame duck president, why would you make such a huge foreign policy and national security decision? Because basically you are bringing America into a proxy war with another country, with Russia, with enabling our weapons to be fired into their homeland. Now, I could understand if you would allow some of the staging bases that may be just right across the border or logistical support bases right across the border from Ukraine to be struck. But why would you wait and do this now when you have always been talking about major escalations? So you would think that this would have been something that Joe Biden would not have unilaterally done. He would be in concert and talking with the incoming administration. We do have an incoming national security advisor. He would have allowed him to be consulted about this. But the biggest way, if you want to defeat China, Russia, North Korea, is once again to kickstart our oil and natural gas and once again ship our liquefied natural gas over to these European countries to undermine the economy of Russia and prevent him from being able to prosecute this combat operation.
How much of an escalation is this all? What could this potentially blow up into? And I'm not using that word tritely, but this could explode into something much bigger than the current conflict, it strikes me.
No, you're absolutely right. And I think that's one of the things we have to be concerned about, especially when this major type of decision being made by an outgoing administration. Without a doubt, Russia could now look at it and say that we're going to use our weapons as supply to other entities that may be fighting against the United States of America, being it the transnational narco-criminal terrorist organizations. China could do the exact same thing. So we have to be very careful about being drawn into a proxy battle when I don't think that we want to be in that footing, especially with an incoming administration that will have a completely different foreign policy pursuit. So if anything, I think that maybe what Joe Biden is trying to do is force the hand of the incoming Trump administration, but I don't think that you're going to be able to do that. President Trump will come in with his own foreign policy determinations, and I think that he will bring this conflict to an end.
And that's exactly what we need. It all needs to come to an end. The war hawks need to leave. Thomas Massey weighing in as well. By authorizing long-range missiles to strike inside Russia, Biden is committing an unconstitutional act of war that endangers the lives of all U.S. citizens. This is an impeachable offense, but the reality is he's an emasculated puppet of a deep state. Thomas Massey. Wow. Strong words right there. Alex Soros celebrating. Kim Jong-un ready to go. Joe Biden embarrassing us on the world stage. We got undersea cables being cut. This is where we're at, folks. So just brace yourselves because we do not want this to happen.
A radius of 64.2 kilometers. The air blast radius would reach up to 54.6 kilometers, followed by an electromagnetic wave of ionizing radiation that would reach up to 6.99 kilometers. The fireball would expand to a radius of 7.92 kilometers. And if the bomb was 100 megatons, it would have a wave of thermal.
So the pattern is unmistakable. Long-range missiles to Ukraine, provocations in North Korea, sabotage communications in Europe, all while Biden can't even find his way to a stage for a photo op. But here's the burning question I want you to answer in our comments. Is this sheer incompetence, or is the deep state deliberately trying to box in the incoming Trump administration with a world war. And while you're contemplating global chaos, make sure you're representing the truth with our new MAGAvengers collection at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. These limited edition designs aren't just clothing, they're a statement that we are ready for peace, prepared for war, and wise enough to know the difference.